If you're a founder who has been burned his hands before hiring bad or wrong agencies, then this video is for you. Here I am mentioning both bad and wrong because bad agencies do exist who have a very bad result. They just overpromise and not deliver. Their only business model is every 2 months work for a new brand. But sometimes more than that, it is wrong agencies because brands associate with the wrong agency. For example, some brands come to us, but we are not the right fit for them. So we directly decline that we might not be the right fit. You can go to someone else because there's a culture fit also that is required between agency and the brand. The brand might be thinking to grow 10x, but the agency is thinking okay 10% or 1x 2x growth, which is still a growth, but that is not what the brand is looking for. Some agencies work very well with bootstrap brands, some very well with VC brands also. There's a mix of both. So culture fit is something you should be looking at. Let's look how to look at that. So how to hire right agency for your brand. I think there's a mistake. It's HIRE. Myth. First myth is best agency for one is best agency for all. It's actually not true. The actual thing is some agencies do work and have a culture fit one of the brands, but in the same niche with the same kind of products, they might not be a culture fit for other brand because it just the synergy does not exist. Something does not click right. That is the only thing. It's not the fault of agency or the brand. Something just does not work or click right. Second myth, agencies that promise the lowest cost per lead or sale, which is lowest cost per sale, are the best. It is absolutely not true. We do have some brands where we are delivering almost consistent CAC, but even then they are happy to work with us because we are delivering on other systems. For example, we might be sending reports that is helpful for them for their retention efforts. So all those parameters are taken into consideration, and then agencies should work on that. It should not be that brands always go with lowest cost per lead or lowest cost per sale who promises, because everyone can promise but not everyone can prove and proof. Myth number 3, if agencies does not guarantee, then it is not a better agency. This is absolutely untrue. So agencies, just like I'm comparing a very noble profession which is doctors, but I'm not directly comparing it, just an analogy here. If you say to a doctor that 100% of your success rate, 100% of your operations are success, no, it does not, and he cannot guarantee that. He can give a best effort whatever is possible. So hiring the right agency for your brand is critical to have the culture fit and who will be able to deliver results to align with whatever systems you have aligned on. Number 4, here are the things to know to avoid being burned down with bad agencies and the wrong agencies. A couple of red flags. If an agency serves anyone and everyone, then it lacks priorities and it is not quality driven at all. Agencies must be selective and should not be anyone. It should not be serving anyone and everyone. The criteria might be different. Some criteria might be based on spend. Some criteria based on niche. But they should have priorities. If they have no priorities, you will also not be a priority for them. Number 2, inadequate reporting and analytics. Before you hire any agency, look for what is the kind of reporting they do and what is the kind of analytics. It pretty much defines how they will be working and how deep are they into the weeds to actually optimize your campaigns and optimize your marketing as a whole. If they're not into detailed reportings, it is mostly the case that they are superficially working without any depth of knowledge. Number 3, lack of meeting or calls. It should be a critical that at least once in 2 weeks or once in a week for meetings between the brand team and the performance team to align on whatever task may be. In cases of festive season which is recently gone, it should be even more higher because of that. Number 4, best case studies are a year old, then it's a red flag for you. Because best case studies should be recent ones. It should not be that it's 2 years, 3 years back. Because 2 years, 3 years back, it was a COVID period when everyone was scaling, when everything was digital. Everyone can produce case studies in that time. But not everyone can actually create good case studies consistently until they are good. Next, every agency which is actually good will talk in generic terms and never mention about metrics. If they're not mentioning about metrics like profit, CAC, AOV, then it's not a good agency to be around, because that is what matters at the end of the day. Even if however good their case studies are, if they're not able to deliver, that is what they'll be judged on. If they're talking very generic, okay, we'll grow, we'll help you, no, it should be very concrete in terms of what they're claiming. Number 4, overloading you with technical jargon is also not a very good sign of an good agency, because if a agency is actually good, they'll be able to explain anyone with a very simplistic language. It should not take jargons to explain to anyone about any topic. If they're not having, their best talent is less than a year old, that's one of their red flag. If your best talent in the agency, ask them how many years they have been in the agency. If they're less than a year old, it is mostly that they're still getting understood regarding, there's a still culture fit going on, and they're still finding synergies between how they work and the agency works. Everything is being done. Their best talent should be more than a year old minimum. Now, next, guarantees results. It's a complete red flag, because nobody can guarantee result. I would completely avoid going with these agencies, even if they're claiming the most conservative guarantees. Last, no access to your own data or ad accounts is a criminal offense, I would say. It's a criminal thing to do this, not offense, it's a criminal thing to do this. No agency should own the data of the brand or the ad accounts and hold them hostage just for the payment to come in. No, that should not happen. Even both the brand should understand that they should own their data, and even they should understand regarding the payment terms and everything, which has been pre-decided. Next, if you questions to ask to the agency before hiring, ask them about average duration of a client stays with them. This gives you an idea if they are actually delivering the result. No client will stay with the agency if they are for 6 straight months if they're not delivering result. So anything above 1 year is a good metric to have. Case study and category. This is very, very important. Regarding whatever case study you are seeing, look at what category it is in, because scaling a skincare brand from say 0 to 10 lakh is very different and very challenging than scaling a apparel brand from 0 to 10 lakh, because it's relatively easier, because the metric and the competition is very different, and the category itself serves as a tailwind. Next, give them your current situation, ask them about what would they do differently, give them what are the challenges you're facing, and ask them their thoughts. You'll be able to assess what is their synergy like, what is the thought process like, are they thinking different than what you have approached the problem. So these all gives you an idea of what can be done. They need not give metric to metric answer. They can give a general perspective of how they would go about the challenge which you are facing in your brand. Then ask them about what part of the work do clients praise them with. This gives you an idea of what they are already good at. This gives you also idea that what are their priorities and what do they value. If the client is praising them for communication and better reporting and able to deliver on targets, then it's a good agency, because all the three metrics are being touched upon and all boxes are being ticked. But if they're just praising about how clients are just praising them about communication, then you should be looking at how their delivery of performance is. Next, can you describe a campaign that did not go well as planned? How did you handle it? It's a critical thing to have and to ask any agency regarding what did they do when the campaign did not go as planned and or the client was completely unhappy. This gives you an idea of what the worst case scenario is and how they handled it. Yes, it might not be always truthful, not everyone says with integrity, but at least you'll get a sense of idea and a fair share of understanding of what they deal with. This is all. Thank you everyone.